All right. This for our first panel is an exciting topic. We hear motivational speakers, we hear keynote speakers, we have bloggers, we have podcasters, we have teachers, professors all across the U.S. and across the world. And really, Karen, I'd like to throw it over to you, and this is one of your areas of expertise, and kind of kick things off. We'll have a four-way dialogue here. I'm not sure it's a quadrilogue, maybe. There's four people having a conversation. But I want to have a lot of fun, and I want to learn about maybe how some speakers and educators use artificial intelligence to increase audience engagement and presentations. And there's a lot of AI tech out there in this space.
Truly, and I'm so excited to share this because, of course, this is one of the areas of my passion. And so I'm going to throw it over to you guys first, and then we'll come back to it. But one of the things is, how have you integrated AI into either speaking or into teaching or training, those types of things? And can we start with you, Jake?
Of course. So good morning, Karen. Good morning, Tom. First of all, I'm really excited to be part of this. I know so many speakers and so many great educators raised their hand to be part of this. And you got 50 over the next 2 days that, like, I could run down the list of people that I'm just fanboying to even be here with, that I'm just I know how much work it is. So I'm so grateful for it. So that as far as like using what I've started using AI to really grow my speaking engagements, to grow my business, right? To expand my business, to expand my reach into other audiences. Like Tom said, there's a bunch of different tools for this, of different ways that you can look at this and you can use it. One of the key areas that I started using is, so I do all the things that Tom mentioned, right? Keynote, we do the education, we do the coaching, we do, speaking to grow our business. We do speaking for educational purposes, a lot of different aspects. But the core fundamentals are all the same, right? We have that specific thing that I speak about, pick a topic, right? So there's going to be a specific topic that I'll write out call it a keynote speech, and it's a 20-minute keynote. Well, that keynote isn't going to resonate with all audiences unless I am scraping my audiences, which I could, and say I'm only going to speak to this particular group of people. But if I have a group of fast-paced solopreneurs that are doing startup businesses, and I wrote a keynote for that, and then I go talk to a group of accountants. Well, that same keynote is not necessarily going to resonate with each group. So one of the tools that I've been using is I'm actually taking that keynote speech, rewriting the prompting into pick your platform, and saying, hey, I want you to take this keynote speech and I want you to adapt it in such a way that it will help speak to this crowd. And I'll do the same thing with my PowerPoints, so that I can review it, so that I can connect with my audience. So that's just one of the ways that I'm using to make sure, because let's be honest, right? I'm not everybody's cup of tea. We get that. And yet there's aspects of AI that can help me connect better and be in a better relationship with my audience.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And forgive me, let's back up just a minute and let you introduce yourself, both of you.
Well, there's that. There's that, and it's all good. My name's Jake Clendenning. I'm an executive business coach. I'm also a member of the Los Angeles Tribune Podcast Network and E360 TV. My show is Total Disruption. We talk business strategies. We bring in implementation of AI. We talk about a lot of different things relative to what it looks like being disruptive in the business industry.
Thank you, Jake, for sharing. Jake, you want to go ahead and share a little bit about you first before we answer that question?
Sure. So what I do is I train sleep technologists and sleep professionals to diagnose and treat sleep disorders. And we are implementing AI in all aspects of it, including training, diagnostics, as well as therapeutics. So that is what I do. That's what I've been doing for over 17 years now.
That's awesome. So now, how have you integrated the AI into what you're doing?
Sure. So I'm going to go ahead and share a screen, and I can share with you like a really clean example that hopefully will not only help change your life, but could potentially even save your life. And I'll explain, okay? So I go by JT. I think hopefully you can see the screen, right?
Oh, it's
negative.
I think we have to let it go. It says I'm sharing the screen. It's like added in as part of the stage.
Tom's having mute problems.
Yeah.
Fun with technology. right? That's totally what we're talking about for the next 2 days.
That's right. Let's use some AI to fix this problem.
Okay, Tom, we still can't hear you. Technology is great when it works, right?
Yeah,
It's all
and
good.
the yeah, sorry, I had the hit the mute button. Because we have 4 panels on here, we won't be able to share the screen. Are you able to describe the what you're going to try and show us?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I'll take out the screen. What we do is we do something called intelligence, right? We're talking about artificial intelligence, but think about it in a different context. Think about central intelligence agency. What does that mean? Is you're gathering data either from spies or satellites or something to then make a decision. And the decision in that context is military action. Now, that's the same way we use intelligence I use for the purpose of sleep diagnostics, where our audience might use for business intelligence, but there's a cycle. And you can't see the slide, which is sad, but it's 3 A's. Okay, so the 3 A's start with the first step of acquisition. You have to acquire the data. You can't do anything, you can't analyze or do anything unless you have some data. Data has to be clean. So the first step in any kind of data intelligence is to acquire it. I do that with sensors. I do that with sensors on the patient's scalp, on their chest, on their legs, so I can then see if they're awake or if they're asleep. And that's the first A. This is interactive. So all of you, I think you have a microphone. What would the second A be out of 3? Any guesses?
We do not. No, sir.
Okay, so the second A would be to analyze, right? You have all this raw data. It's beautiful. It's a bunch of information coming from the sensors. It doesn't really mean anything unless you create some statistics, averages, mins, max, all these things. That's the second step, which we call analyze. Now, having all these statistics, there's going to be some recommendation that comes out of it. So if I say, hey, Tom, this data shows you have sleep disorder, there's no point in having that report, having this data, unless you act on it. So the third step in this cycle is to act. You acquire, you analyze, and then you act. And once you act, you're not sure if the recommendation actually worked and corrected your problem. So what do? Is you start over again. You can't see the slide, but there's like a little recycle logo, and it goes all the way back to the beginning. And it goes back to acquiring the data to see if you did or did not actually correct the problem. And that's what we do. We acquire data in the lab from head to toe. We have wires in the scalp to make sure that our patient's either awake or asleep. We have chest belts, we have sensors in the nose, we have sensors on the leg, we have most importantly a sensor on the finger. And what happens is we observe our patient falling asleep. And when they do, they start to snore. And when they do, they start to snore and they start to obstruct. And they have this condition where they're pushing their chest against an obstructed airway and they develop a condition called sleep apnea. Now, that is terrible. And I could definitely tell if you have that if you come to the lab and spend an evening at the facility. Now, that's not always possible. So how do we use AI? Is we're able to pull a sensor off of a finger, off of a ring. You're calling those wearables. From those sensors, we can pull data that is related to the heartbeat as well as the oxygen saturation and do what's called cardiopulmonary coupling. And that will recreate all of the signals we got in the lab overnight from your own bed at home, diagnosed and treated over the cloud, literally from anywhere. And then we have some people in the audience that'll help treat. We can treat it with a number of solutions. We have for sleep apnea, CPAP, which can also be titrated over the cloud automatically using AI. We have oral appliances. We have implantable pulse generators. So we're also now able to diagnose and treat a condition called restless legs. Go for it, Tom.
Yeah, that is really good information. It's over my head. It is a lot. That's a lot of information. I would like to, we have limited time here. We have about another 20 minutes. We have a lot of questions. So I'm going to ask the panel to keep their answers to about a minute, maybe a minute and a half. Try to consolidate some of that information. So essentially, I'm going to try to recap what you said, and I'm probably going to get it wrong. So
it's okay. You use GPT.
You use AI to help solve sleep disorders.
Yes, to diagnose and to treat. Correct.
So okay, so there's two parts there.
Yes.
And then you also teach, I guess, other people how to do the same.
Right. As the vice president of the Texas Society of Sleep Professionals, I teach other sleep professionals how to use this technology to improve their patient care. Yes.
So one more follow-up question to that is, how quickly is AI spreading in your industry?
rapidly. We actually have, uh, I have multiple registries. This year was the first time an AI agent got registered to be a sleep professional. The analysis portion is, until now, done by hand. We have to click on the little squares on these little waveforms. Now, an AI agent by Enso Data has actually acquired that same registry. So we are now technically equivalent. They can interpret and diagnose your sleep study with AI. And that's like every day, something like that.
Wow. I do have a question for Jake and Karen as well, and this is new to me. I was browsing through social media the other day, and I came across a AI software that enabled, essentially, you type in something, you feed it information you want, and it'll generate a PowerPoint like that. Essentially, have you guys heard about this?
Yes.
Has anyone used that technology before?
Yep.
Have you? Would you mind explaining a little bit about what that is? I think that would be huge for the audience to learn about, and how it could help presenters and speakers and educators to really move things along, save them time, increase audience engagement.
Absolutely, Tom. So and really, like, JT did a great job of segueing this in the beginning, where he explained, and I love this. I'm going to steal it and use it all the time because it was beautiful. Think of AI as the CIA collecting data to make a decision, right? And then you have the ability and the action that goes beyond that. So that's the same concept. Like, think of that concept with this PowerPoint presentation. So first you need to collect the data, right? So this is the CIA piece of this. Within that software, you have to type in, and it's a list of questions. Let's go super third grade level for this. It's a list of questions. What is your talk about, your presentation, your education piece, whatever it's going to be? What is it about? What are the key components that you need to apply? How long is it going to be? It's the third grade questions you're going to go through and answer. And it's the same data points that, like, JT is collecting. But they're small and they're key integral spots that you've got to know. And then it goes all the way through the list of questions of, depending on what it is, what is your suggested title? What's the topic? What's the format? Are there any images that you want to add, quotes that you want to add? How do you want it to look? Is it slide by slide? Do you want it to load up 3 questions a piece on a slide? So it's a list of questions that goes, and then it will generate the proposed PowerPoint slides. And it'll ask you for your brand, it'll ask you for your color palette, all of those questions that you just fill in. You just answer the questions honestly, and it'll fill out this PowerPoint presentation. Now, it's still has the ability to go in and edit it, anything that you look in there. Now, the same rules are true. If you give it the wrong information, the wrong data, you're going to get the wrong answer. You're going to get a PowerPoint presentation that doesn't look anything like what you imagined. So that's where you've got to be clear on your analytics going into it. What's the data input into the system? And this is true of anything we're doing with AI. And I'm sure this is true with JT. If you get wrong information over there, you're going to have a wrong plan to execute on your actions by the time you get to the act. So that's what that does. It's not a complicated bot. It's just one of those, it's going to ask some questions, and you just have to be really honest with it. Like, you got to tell it exactly what you want it to do, and you'll get the result that you're looking for.
Jake, I'm interested in the quality. What kind of quality are those PowerPoints?
Really, I was really happy with it. I had myself and my staff run through it on a couple of those different ones. I'm not a techie person, right? I have a staff. I leverage the things I'm not good at. So when I did the data input and I gave it what I wanted, it put out a PowerPoint presentation that was better than I would have created on my own. Is it as good as what my assistant can do? Because she's amazing. No, but it gets her like 90% of the way there, to where it, again, this is where Tom talked about this, of being able to shorten the amount of time that it takes you to do something so that you can spend time doing something that's more important, that's a higher and better use of your time. So I plugged it in there. It took me 5 minutes to plug it in, gave her the basic outline and all the slides of what the presentation was. And it took her maybe half an hour, versus normally this would have been a 2-hour project. So it really refined it for us to where, yes, now I had a live person go in, because she knows me. She knows me up one side and down the other and knows Jake doesn't talk like that, and changed some of the slides a little bit and was able to do it. But the initial quality, I would honestly call it 90%.
Impressive. Yes.
That is, yeah. Karen, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, that's okay. One of the things I do, of course, with, speaking and training and those kind of things is building out my platform. And I've had a lot of success with building out, again, going into Chat or to Claude or any of the rest of them, and asking them to build out my presentation. What amazed me is it came back with what to put in your slides, when to allow for applause, those kind of things. It was like, my goodness, step by step here completely. Of course, we can't leave out what is the most important, which is our human nature and what we would normally say. But yes, impressive.
That is. And so I want to introduce another question. Can you each provide a specific example where AI has significantly enhanced your ability to deliver content, or maybe even just engage with your audience, leading to maybe some measurable success? JT, do you want to kick things off?
Yes, I have a really clean example for that one. So whenever you go to see a physician currently, they are more focused on entering notes into this keyboard, and there's no more personal interaction. That's being resolved currently with AI to a point where it's actually improving patient care. The example I'll give you is this. There was a patient talking to the physician, and then when the spouse walked out of the room, there was a tonality shift in the way that female patient was talking to the physician that was picked up not by the doctor who's known this couple for years, but picked up by an AI algorithm that was running full time. And it flagged that change, and it said, this patient is at risk for domestic abuse because of that tonality change that was so subtle that nobody else could have picked it up. And because of that, the doctor asked the question and then actually uncovered something outside of the point of that visit. So that's what AI is being used for right now in clinical practice.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
Incredible.
That is incredible. Beautiful. So that is a really positive advance. I mean, that is awesome. For AI to come this far to pick up on some of those nuances, where else can that same technology be deployed ethically to generate more positive results like that? I mean, the good that can do is amazing. That's incredible. Jake, it's gonna be tough to top that.
Yeah, how do you top actual, honest to God life-saving pieces of this? And I know a couple other examples. There's a business that's launching out there that AI is part of. You guys all remember the old school medical alert bracelets that you flipped over in it. But there's a new set of AIs that's coming out for that, and this is something you guys are all going to see. But I love the fact, because I mean, as I think about the times that I have sat in a doctor's office, and being a doctor's hard, man. That is a tough gig. That is a tough gig. Your hours are brutal, and you're head in your file, and you're trying to solve the problem. You're marching down, and we get that. Bedside manners, secondary stuff. A doctor would not have ordinarily, anybody that I go to, have been queued up to, you need to ask this question. That is profound that it picked up on a language pattern. I mean, the uses for that are so cool. So I love that story so much. I mean, and it's impossible for me to top it, but I can tell you from the business of speaking, because a lot of people want to be speakers and they're like, hey, I want to be a motivational speaker, a keynote guy, be on the panels, do that stuff. And you can, but there's also a business to it, which is the application process. This is not the NFL draft. People are not out there, hey, Jake, come be on my show. And, I don't have an inbox stacked full of invitations on a daily basis. I have to go out and find these speaking engagements. So that's one of the spaces that's really increased my ability to do business from stage, is the integration of AI. And specifically, there's half a dozen machines out there that do it. There's a bunch of different ones that are, and I call them scraping bots, if you will. We built one. We just built one out that's very, very tertiary, very elementary for what it does. And its job is to go out there and find on the internet call for speakers. Its primary fundamental job is to scrape call for speakers. And then it then looks at is this a speaking opportunity that fits within the realm of what CT Impact does? So we can get our message out there, yes or no, compiles a list for me. And so I open up my inbox in the morning and says, here's your list of 15 speaking engagements that were call for speakers that were posted. So now I don't have to go spend that time trying to look at them and looking at every single one of them. It's already scraped the list for me. And then the secondary thing that it'll do is it'll start to fill out the applications for me. It'll pull the application from that, bring it in, put my, we have a copy and paste set of bios that we use. It'll tailor it a little bit. It'll have the keynote pieces because we have a full page that we built out of all the links, and it'll put the Facebook links and the LinkedIn links and all the standard stuff that the applications want. Now I still need to go in and I still need to finalize and tailor and give it my language at the end. However, again, that has saved me hours of time because it went from truthfully about 2 to 3 hours a day of doing applications for speaker events to where my actual acceptance rate, I was about 25% acceptance rate for applications. You turn in 4, you get 1 that you get to speak on. Well, my acceptance rate has gone up because of speed to market. I'm at about 75% acceptance rate on those applications now. So I've increased my business from speaking twice a month to about 3 times a week, and I'm reaching about an average of about 5,000 people a week as part of my speaking business. So, and it's taking me a whole lot less time. I'm spending more time on stage, less time applying as a result of a fairly simple tool that goes out and scrapes data.
That is amazing. So how'd you develop that app?
The bot?
Yes.
Okay, here's the cheat, and they're going to talk about this later. You have a coder coming on later that tells you that's going to has AI doing the coding for you. I heard this one before, and I thought it was artwork. And this is I don't want to sound like Forrest Gump of the, I'm not a smart man, but I understand what the cheats are. Like if I'm a gamer, I'm going to figure out what the cheat codes are. So understanding what, I can have AI write the bot for me. If, I can go in and say, I want it to do this. How would I build this bot? And it'll break out the workflows. And there is how many of those platforms out there right now. Aminos is one that I know about. Go High Level in the CRM has this, to where it tells you, here's the workflow you need to build out. Here's how you do it. And then you just have to go in and drag and drop, just operate 2 screens, pull it off of your literally ChatGPT on the right, plug it into your bot builder on the left, builds out the workflows. It is ridiculously simple to do if used correctly.
Wow. That is amazing. We had a LinkedIn user say, mind blown.
If you think it can be done with AI, go ask AI if it can be done.
There you go. That is awesome. We have about 5 more minutes here. So, Karen, do you have a question? Or if not, I can kick one off, but I want to throw it over to you.
Well, I think the biggest thing is, I wanted to say something about something I've done with the other, not mind-blowing, not life-saving, that kind of thing. But even with just finding references and information and video clips and things that go along with your presentations, it just saves so much time and energy. So that's just the only thing I wanted to add there. Where do you find some misconceptions? I think that's the big thing. Where do you find that people question, that can that work, or should you use that type of thing?
JT, you want to start off?
Sure. So a big misconception is that AI is going to take my job, because this analysis task could be done even better by AI. And I say that's fair. That's something that it should do. You think about this, right? I don't go and pull corn out of the ground or do landscaping, right? We have actual machines to do that. We are redefining not only what it is to be a clinician, we're redefining what it means to be human. Like analyzing data, counting cells in a spreadsheet is not a human task. That is a subhuman task that we can outsource to AI. And by doing so, we can focus on the things that are more human oriented, like talking to the patient. And what I tell my technicians is your job is not to analyze or to teach or to coach. Your job is there to listen. Just hear what the patient has to say, hear what your technician has to say, and then go through that cycle. That's the one thing that really the AI does okay. Obviously, it has some voice dictation, but it doesn't really understand what it means to be a human. And now that's something that you now can do because now you have been freed up from all of these mundane, repetitive tasks that AI can do. So there's where I think people before would be hesitant, like, oh, let's take my job. No, your job's about to get a massive upgrade.
Great way to put it.
Yeah, that's awesome, Jake.
Yeah, that was beautiful, JT, and that's the truth. Like, my favorite thing you said there was, this gives the clinician the opportunity to be present and listen. Like, they don't have to be a data analyst. So this is going to let them become more human and connect at the human level. That's what this is for. Like, this is to get, and JT's 100% right. And that's the deal, right? Is, oh, AI is going to take my job. All of a sudden there's going to be, AI is going to start doing the coaching. It's going to, sure, somebody's going to build that machine. Somebody's going to do it. Is it going to replace you? No. If you are using AI as an ally, if you're using it as an assistant, if you're using it as a cohort to make you a better clinician, to make you a better coach, to make you a better speaker, so that you can connect at the human level, your audience, your patients, your clients are still coming to you because they want to work with you. But now your service has up leveled at such a space that the people that are not, and this is going to happen in the ethics panel later too. I know this is a question. I can't wait for that panel. This is that question, right? But this is that, if I'm not using it and I'm still crashing and burning through this, am I giving the best patient care? Am I giving the best client care? Am I providing the best experience? No, because I'm distracted. But with integrating AI into my business as an assistant, right? And I have the ability to connect at that human level. I'm so grateful for the work that JT does. I've got so many people that suffer from that. And the fact that we can get this solved faster for them, and like at that true critical patient care level, I love what he does. It's just absolutely amazing. And I'm so grateful he's using AI to help support it.
It really is. It is. I mean, some of the things that we've been talking for about 30 minutes, and just in the past 30 minutes, some things I've learned from JT, to some technology and how to use AI to code AI, to using AI to prepare the presentations. It is. I mean, this has been a 30 minutes that's just been chock full of information. Before we let everybody go, I do want to backtrack just for 2 seconds. And Jake, we have a question from Courtney from LinkedIn. She asked, high level, and then what other software?
As far as the bot is concerned, so like Go High Level in a CRM does. One of the other ones I know is called Aminos.
Aminos?
And it's a it's a super non-techie kind of thing that helps you build out the workflows. What I will tell you is, like, go to the Google, as my friends like to call it, and just ask for, hey, I need a bot builder. And you'll get some basic workflow stuff. There's a bunch of YouTubes out there on how to build bots right now. What I would tell you is, if you don't speak coder, don't watch the YouTubes that are doing the coding. Watch the guys that are using the super basic software. But some of the stuff that's out there is so easy to operate, and it will operate for what you need it to do. And just remember, be really clear on what your outcome is, because if you know what your goal is, you can create the roadmap to get there.
Awesome. And last question, and as a closing remarks for each person here, Jake, let me throw this out to you first. What is one tip, one software, just one thing that someone said, hey, tell me what you know about AI in a minute, what would that be?
My current favorite piece of software is something called Easy Messenger that I got recently turned on to. It's another scraping bot. And this is my ability to reach into groups of, I can pick whatever group I want to on social media, and I can reach in there, and it'll help me connect with those people, because it'll scrape all those people and say, you need to connect with all these people, invite them to your show, invite them to your page. And then it will actually message them. You can create the messages as far as, hey, Jake would like to have a conversation with you. When's a good time? Thursday or Friday at 2. So it's a little bit of a lead generator bot as well. but it helps with engagement too, because it's going out there and liking posts I would like. Yes, that's a little inhuman, but it's coming back and saying, you liked this post, go comment. Now I can go comment on it. I can engage with that person on the human level.
Wow. That's awesome. Jake, or JT, sorry.
Sure. So my favorite AI tool right now is perplexity.ai. It's like a replacement for Google. You type in really anything. Like you can give it images, you can give it PDFs usually, and say, I need to summarize it, I need to make a PowerPoint, I need to do this or that. Like I don't have to hire anybody anymore because I got perplexity.ai. It does really everything I needed to do, including making some of the slides I talked about today. So then the more important thing is what else you do with that time. The time you get from the AI, I want you to get more sleep. Sleep is the most important thing you can do for anyone's health, and you'll be a better coder, a better teacher, a better everything if you just get an extra little bit of sleep.
That's awesome. I might be calling you because I've worked a crazy work week. I think I've had about 5 hours sleep a night. So I am probably the perfect patient. Miss Karen.
Well, first of all, I would start with, if you've not started using AI, just use ChatGPT. Just start there, get accustomed to it, and then move on. And I am with JT. I love Perplexity. I love the fact that it sources all the information where it came from. So I have all my references. That's what's incredible. And JT, my daughter just went through that study that you were talking about.
I hope she's doing better.
She will be.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Did they use AI to score it?
Sorry.
I was saying, I hope they used AI to score it.
They did.
All right. Very cool.
That's awesome. Good stuff. Well, I want to thank the panel for their generous time and giving of their knowledge, giving of their experience, and really just, JT, some of that, I still have goosebumps from your story of that doctor and the AI, checking for tonality, and just this whole panel has just been absolutely phenomenal. Thank you. We had a rough start with technology, but we're starting to gain some traction, and we'll have to have you guys back for the next event. We are having another post-event mastermind on AI. So I want to throw that out there while we are transitioning. I would encourage everyone to text AI to 512-865-4065. That is an AI bot that allows the audience to engage with real artificial intelligence, really cool technology. It will talk back to you. You can mess with it, try and fool with it, but that's also going to be the registration for the event next week. We're going to have in conjunction with the LA Tribune, and we have a lot of exciting things for the third quarter planned, live events and also virtual at the same time, a good mix, possibly in conjunction with Barnes & Nobles and the LA Tribune.